Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have an Atelier Lusso pen for review here today. Now I've had this pen for a little over a month now. You will have seen this on my Instagram feed. You will have also seen an unboxing because I had 7 of these pens arrive, and these are all custom made pens. So I wanted to really just do a proper unboxing as such, rather than like a brief comparison video. So here is the box. It also came with a lovely thank you card, and this came from Eric at Atelier Lusso. Eric is in California in the US. And this is the box that it came in, or one of the boxes. This is a really just a black sort of faux leather, like clamshell type box, with sort of rounded edges on. And quite a minimalistic box, but for a lot of people they prefer minimalistic boxes rather than a big heavy box that adds to the cost of the pen in general. So you can see here Atelier Lusso bespoke writing instruments. Now all of these pens Eric actually hand turns from rods. Now if I open the box, you'll see I also got an Atelier Lusso sticker there, a business card as well where you can contact Eric if you would like a pen from him, and you also get a cleaning cloth as well, which is a nice touch. And you get the pen as well, so on this bed. So let me just remove that pen, put the box out of the way. So these pens are, as I said, hand turned by Eric in California, and this is a material that I was looking for a number of pens to be commissioned and made by Eric, and I wanted the pens to be unique to me, and I wanted the pen to have substance, and I went on to a number of different rod sites. I asked Eric what sort of sites he uses to procure his pen rods for the material for the pens, and I started looking on 2 or 3 of these sites. I handpicked a number of materials, and this was one of them, and this is an absolutely stunning material. As I said, handpicked by myself. This is the King Cobra, and it's this lovely like bronzy gold effect. Lots of chatoyance going on there, both in the silver and in the bronzy gold, and then you have this lovely King Cobra head on the cap there. Now I had a number of options. I could have had the King Cobra on the cap or on the body. Like when you talk to a custom pen maker, you can have pretty much what you want. I could have probably even had it straddling the two, although that might have been a little bit more difficult. I chose to have it on the cap. I wanted something where I could like literally take the cap off and just have that there. So this was one of the materials that I asked Eric to order in for this particular pen, and I'm really glad I did. This is absolutely stunning material, and you could just see here as the light catches that chatoyance that's going on here, especially around here. Like when I rotate the pen, you can just see it's just amazing material. And this is, the model itself is an Andromeda, which is one of several models that Eric turns. And for some, like it's just a flat cylindrical sort of pen. There's no shaping that goes into this pen, and I have an Andromeda already prior to this arriving, and I really like the shape of it. I liked that it didn't have a clip on it, so I decided I wanted some more Andromedas, and look at this material. It's absolutely amazing there. So I decided that I would get a number of pens made in the Andromeda, and this was one of them. So let me show you the pen in a little bit more detail here. So Eric has, I asked if Eric could do some coin finials for these pens, and this is one of the coin finials that he put on the pen. And you can see here, as I mentioned, the overall shape of the pen doesn't taper at all, and it goes all the way. So it is a very straight-edged pen with cut-off edges here at the top and bottom. The seam where the cap meets the body is almost seamless, and there is a difficulty trying to get the material to match up between the cap and the body. Like, in theory, you cut a rod in half, some of that becomes the cap, some of that becomes the body. You then have to file some of that down, so you're never always going to get that matching up. Then when you thread or create the threads, you will normally have 3 or 4 threads, so you will find that sometimes the pattern will match up when you screw the body on better than other times. If I unscrew this here and put the nib on there, like, you'll see that that doesn't match up too well. And this is just one of the things for a lot of pens. If I do it 180 degrees round, like, you get it that dimension. So it really just depends on how you align the cap. So you are going to see a difference here between how it matches up, but I don't mind that. I actually, although I do have an OCD tendency sometimes, to be honest, this really doesn't bother me, but I know it does bother some people. So this is something just to bear in mind if you're having a custom pen made. Sort of really decide on the material that you're having, because this might be an issue for you. For me, it's not, but I just thought I would mention that anyway. But I really do love this material and this pen. Now, in this particular material, there wasn't enough material to make the entire pen. There was enough to make the cap, make the body, but not the section. So I said to Eric, Eric said he could do this in a number of other colours. I said, let's just go, I'd rather have a section coloured the same as the rest of the pen. So I went for an additional rod, which was an additional expense, but to me that actually made a lot more sense to me. And this was a pen that I knew that I would be keeping. And at the end of the day, I really, really wanted to have this pen almost as perfect as I could have it. So the end cap is blank there, and obviously the cap finial, you have the L for Lusso. Now Eric has changed this recently. He has got some dragons on here now, so that's something just to bear in mind. That will be his new logo moving forward. But if I unscrew the cap again, you can see here, I had Yovo nibs on these. Now, this is a number 6 Yovo nib. Now, I really do like the Yovo broad nibs, so I got this with a broad nib on it, and I really love how these write. I love how they write because they're very wet, they're very broad, and to me that just makes a lot more sense. It's just a nib that I really like. Now these are cartridge converters, so if I just unscrew this, you'll see here it comes with a standard Schmidt converter, and so this is going to hold around 0.7 milliliters of ink, and I find that this writes really well. Now in terms of size in the hand, you can see this is actually quite a long pen, and the section does taper down. Like, there is a big step here on these Andromedas, but this doesn't bother me. Now, a number of people that I've handed this pen to immediately say, it's a big step, those threads are high, that's going to bother me. But as soon as they actually try, they'll find that they actually put their fingers more down here. It completely avoids the threads, completely avoids the step. Even if you actually hold it up more higher, like here on the threads, it doesn't bother me. So like you could even hold it up higher still if you wanted to. But for me, I find this is really good. Now in terms of the cap, on these Andromedas, the cap is not going to post. So that's something to bear in mind. But again, that doesn't bother me. Like, I can just put the cap here and I can just write away to my heart's content without any problem whatsoever. So for me, this is a really lovely pen. This is the Andromeda King Cobra, and I really do like this. Now, these pens come in, they start from around about $199 with a Yovo steel nib. You can get a gold nib upgrade if you want to. I find that the steel nibs are really good writers, consistent writers. So I decided to go with steel nibs. But you can go for gold nibs. You can, even if you wanted to, you could even have a clip on this pen. All you would need to do is just talk to Eric and just say to him what you want on the pen, and then he will come back and say what is possible, what material he could use for like the metal clips, whether or not you wanted any ring bands on here. I just wanted this rather plain, really just to show off the material more than anything. So in terms of length, let me do a length check. The length of the pen, we're looking at about 142 millimeters. The cap is about 63 millimeters in length, so that's quite a long cap. And then from the tip of the tines, we're looking at about 134 millimeters. So that is kind of getting into oversized territory. Now, in terms of weight, let's do a weight check. Now, this is an inked up pen, so this is 25, almost 25.5 grams. Probably would be being fully inked up. And then the cap itself, we are looking at just under 7.5 grams. And then the body, we're looking at just under 17, so probably 17 grams fully inked up. So that's a pretty good weight pen, and this is a pen that I really do like. It is one of my favourite new pens, and I think probably it will be one of my favourite all-time pens because of the material, and that I picked this material by hand, and I really, really do love this material. So let's do a writing sample. So this is the Atelier Lusso Andromeda, and this is the King Cobra. Now, the nib is a steel nib, and it's a broad nib. So let's just zoom in a little bit more. The ink in here is an ink sample that I've been given by a pen pal, and I really do like this. So this is a Diamine exclusive to Germany. So you can only buy this in Germany, and this is Diamine Skull and Roses. Now, this is quite a sheening ink, and I decided I wanted something to complement the chatoyance that was going on in this body. Normally I match ink colours to pens, and obviously this is a grey pen, has a lot of bronzy, goldy, orangey sort of chatoyance going on in there. But I wanted something that was a bit of a sheener, so I decided to break with tradition here, and I decided to go with Diamine Skull and Roses, because it's quite a sheening ink, or at least so on Tomoe River paper. So in terms of line variation, it is a broad nib, so this is the standard line that it's going to put down. You can push a lot harder and get a little bit more line variation, but it's a broad nib. You are not going to get a lot of line variation out of this. And it is a steel nib as well, so you have to bear that in mind. The JoWo steel nibs tend to be quite firm, but also wet as well. But in terms of the ink test, let's try this. It's the ink itself is quite a wet ink, but it's a sheening ink more. So it's a wet ink, but it's not going to be a fire hose because of the ink. But I find that this ink, I find it writes very, very wet. And you can see this here, not only in terms of the broadness, but the wetness of how this nib writes. And to be honest, this is how I like my nibs to be. Like, I like them wet. Sometimes I like them more fire hose wet, but providing that they are pretty wet, I don't have a problem with the nib. And these JoWo nibs are very smooth, broad nibs. You couldn't ask for a smoother nib. So I'm really glad that Eric uses JoWo nibs, and I do love how these write. So that was another reason why I decided to get more of these nibs here. So that's really the review here of the Atelier Lusso Andromeda King Cobra. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.